So a guy has been looking at this CX-30 for months now. Why months? Well, because months ago we ordered parts for this thing and the parts were on back order. The parts are finally here. The problem is this vehicle's been sitting here for so long and it was used to give parts to another vehicle, and when that happens, then technicians, sales personnel, they start using it as something they can borrow parts from. And I noticed that this hood is open. It used to not be open. And what do you know? We ain't got no battery. So I'm gonna have to get a battery for this. And if you recall, this one was on a video I did a little while back, and I explained what went on with this and why we don't have the parts and why the thing is taken apart on the inside. But we had a battery back then, now we don't. So I'm gonna have to get a battery. Great. So let me go find a battery, we'll get it in this thing and we'll get this thing put together. Man, I hope it's got a go handle. Those things, they're heavy. Oh no. Okay. We got the battery. Now, get that out of here. Luckily, it had a go handle on it. Still heavy. Let me get this battery in here. So, I don't know if you remember, and if you don't, maybe you didn't see the video. I did a comparison of a couple different Mazdas, just showing different things about it, a couple videos back. And then I explained what was going on with this. And if you haven't seen that video, I'll put a link up here and you can check it out. Go check it out. But what happened was another customer with a 2024 CX-30, just like this, had an issue with their battery. And we replaced the battery, but then it had codes set in the ABS system for low voltage. After checking that out, I found out that it had a bad ABS control module, SAS control module. And the general manager decided to steal the SAS control module out of this vehicle and put it into that vehicle for that customer, so that customer could take their brand new vehicle and go. So that SAS control module was on back order. Now it's here. Now we got to get this in. Where the battery went, I don't know. But it's a brand new vehicle. It's getting a brand new battery. It's getting a brand new SAS control module. Everything we're putting on it is brand new. It's a brand new vehicle, so no harm, no foul. You know, as long as it all works, and it's gonna work. When we're done with this, this is gonna be a brand new vehicle. And that's what it is, brand new. Let me just get this battery in here and we'll pull it in and we'll start replacing that, or installing rather, that SAS control module. Now you want to be careful with a part like this, even in the box. You don't want to be throwing it around or anything, because while there are many sensors in this vehicle which are used to deploy airbags, there are also sensors in this, besides having longitudinal sensor, latitude sensor, stuff like that, which other systems need. This device right here is an airbag sensor in itself. Yeah, so you don't want to throw it around. You could break it before you even plug the thing in. But most importantly, you don't want to take this thing loose while it's plugged in, because if this thing is plugged in and you loosen it and you move it, you could deploy an airbag right into your face. Seriously, it's some very, very serious stuff. You don't want to loosen this and move it with it plugged in. Even if the key's off, don't take a chance. Don't ever do that. If you're cleaning underneath your center console or something and you decide, hey, I'm gonna move this thing and clean under it because I spilled some coffee or something like that, don't do it. Just don't do it, just leave it. It's better just to leave it rather than take this thing loose and have a chance of an airbag blowing up in your face. Besides getting injured very seriously or even killed, even if it's a different airbag that's not even near you, it can destroy the dashboard. It will do damage to your vehicle. Besides, they're expensive. So let's get this in and let's get it programmed to the vehicle. It's gonna have to be programmed to the vehicle. So we're gonna go through all that, and it's not the same thing as programming, doing an update, a program, updating a module. This is what they call a virgin module, and it needs to be programmed to this vehicle. It needs information from this vehicle to be programmed properly, and we're gonna have to do that. So let's get into that. So the first thing I did was disconnect the battery. Yeah, the battery we just installed for reasons that I just explained. I don't want an airbag blowing up in my face. So whenever you do any kind of work with airbag systems, always disconnect the negative battery cable first. Now let's get in there and let's start putting this thing back together. Hopefully I remember where everything goes, because it's been months, and I mean months. This is January. It was in November that we tore this thing apart. So let's see. Let's see what happens. Okay, we got all of that hooked up. I need to, except for in the very back. In the very back, we need to hook up the back of the center console, and I had to move the driver's seat in order to do that, and the driver's seat won't move because we ain't got the battery hooked up. So I'm gonna hook the battery up right here, and move the driver's seat, and we'll get that back part put in right now. Okay, I got a couple of bolts right here. Let's see, where did they go? Right in here. I got a bolt right here. And one right there. Let me tighten these up. Okay. That one in. This thing right here just pops in right there, and that is it. Okay, so the entire center console is in. What we need to do is program it now. So let me get this over to the system over there. I got a vehicle sitting over there. I need to move it. And I'll get this over there and get it on the charger just to make sure we don't lose any kind of battery power or trying to do some programming. Let's get into the programming. What do we got to do? So we'll talk about that next. Okay, I got the battery charger right there hooked up to the system, to the battery. I got the VCI2, VCM2 hooked up right here. We got to go into MDARS. I'm going to turn the key on. Turn the headlights off, hit the start button, and let's start getting communication. Okay, whoa, we have a lot of codes and a lot of systems. The main one that we're worried about right here is this one right here, the SAS control module. And we scroll down here, lost communication, yeah, everything was disconnected. Right here, initial configuration not completed. So we haven't done any kind of configuration with it. So what we're gonna have to do is configure the SAS control module. Then we need to calibrate the lateral G sensor. We need to calibrate the longitudinal G sensor, the yaw rate sensor for DCS or DSC, and the yaw rate sensor for VCM. And all those sensors are inside that SAS control module. So what we're gonna do, let's get out of this thing right here. Go into toolbox and configuration right there. Hit run, configuration, type in SAS control module. The ignition is on, hit next, start configuration. Select continue to start configuration. Okay, that's complete. Hit next. Confirm ignition is on. If the ignition is not on, push the start stop button. The ignition is on. If the ignition is not turned on, select the next button. What? The ignition is not turned on. It's on. Configuration number 2. Switch ignition off. Ignition is off. Hit next. Configuration number 2. Confirm the ignition is on. It's not on. If the ignition is not on, push the start stop button. Ignition is on. Hit the next button. Configuration 2. Okay, and then we're completed with this. We finished that. Okay, now we need to go into the brakes for DSC. So we need to calibrate the lateral G sensor for DSC, calibrate the longitudinal G sensor, calibrate the yaw rate sensor for DSC, calibrate the yaw rate sensor for VCM. We need to do all of these. So I'm going to go into this run. Before performing this procedure, make sure the following operations are completed. Each sensor initialize, has no DCCs. Okay, actually, let's go over to this quick check and hit this broom. Let's sweep it under the carpet. Vehicle communication cannot be launched because of, okay, current tasks. Let's back out of this. Yes, I aborted the function. And I'm clearing all the codes. Okay, so the only code we have is in the VCM, vehicle control module, and that's for the yaw rate sensor, because we haven't done that calibration yet. So now we're going to go into the lateral G sensor calibration for DSC. And make sure all of these are checked. Everything's good. Not going to shake the vehicle. Not going to lean up against it or anything. And let's hit next. This is just telling me when the ABS, DSC, or RCM is replaced, the following initialization is necessary. Lateral accelerator sensor, we haven't replaced any of that. We're replacing only the SAS control module. Do not shake the vehicle. I'm not touching it. Set the ignition switch off. Hit next. Procedure successful. Hit next. Set the ignition switch on. Hit next. Now we're going to go into the longitudinal G sensor for DSC. Click all of these again. Not shaking the vehicle, not bouncing it or anything. It's calibrating the longitudinal G sensor. Set the ignition switch off. Procedure successful. Hit next. Set the ignition switch on. And hit next. Now we need to calibrate the yaw rate for DSC. Hit run on that. Click all of these. Hit next. And it is calibrating. Done. Hit next, turn the ignition off. Hit next. Procedure is successful. Turn the ignition back on. Hit next. And then finally calibrate the yaw rate for VCM. Hit run on that. Ignition on. Start the zero position learn for yaw rate sensor. Okay, so one of the things that we want to do for sure when doing this yaw rate sensor, we want to make sure that this steering wheel is straight as possible. It looks straight. Then that's good enough. And we want to make sure that we're not touching the vehicle or moving the vehicle around, because all these sensors are in that SAS control module, and it feels whenever the vehicle, you put on the brakes, you know, and the vehicle like leans forward like that, or you take off, or if you're on a slope and sideways, or if it gets hit, as the vehicle moves in any direction, it knows which way it's moving, and it needs to know that information so it knows which airbag, you know, to deploy if it needs to. Also, the VCM, DSC, that's the traction control and the ABS system, anti-lock brakes. They need to know which way the vehicle's leaning, so it needs to know, you know, if we need traction or if we're losing traction and stuff like that. So that's why we have to do these calibrations and make sure that it is correct, and we want to do it on a level surface like it's sitting right now. So now let's get into this last one right here. Start the 0 position learn for yaw rate sensor, and hit next, and it is complete. And that is pretty much everything. I'm going to go back up here to the quick check, and I'm going to clear this codes that's sitting in the VCM. Recheck it, and we should get green lights all across the board. No, we have a PCM. That's probably because the engine hasn't been started. Yeah, engine off timer performance. So whenever you turn the key on and off a bunch of times, but you don't start the engine, it will set this code like every single time. PCM, ECM, engine off timer performance. It will set that code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get in here, start it up, turn it off, turn the key back on, go back over here, and I am going to clear this code. Sweep that under the carpet. Hit next to recheck it. And there we go. Green lights all across the board. So go in here, turn the key off, start it up, and there, we have no airbag light. Parking brake is on. That is pretty much it. So it worked. I got everything done, and that's pretty much all I got for you guys this week anyway. I have been getting some requests lately to work on this car, work on that car, work on this other car, work on a CX-30. I can only work on, you know, whatever comes in the front door. Y'all guys know that. So whenever they come in, and if it's something, you know, worth making a video on, then I'll do it and you'll see it. I appreciate you hanging around. If you're still here, hit that thumbs up button, like. If you haven't subscribed, do that right now. And I will see you in the next one.